Tinubu assumed office on May 29, following the controversial presidential election that took place in Nigeria on February 27th. Now, there is something Tinubu is doing that no president in the world is doing. That is consistent borrowing for consumption. Right from the time he assumed office, he has been borrowing consistently, and he is not disclosing this always to the general public and also to journalists. Nobody knows the amount Tinubu has borrowed so far, apart from the Kaaba and the National Assembly. But I think this is what's supposed to be made known to the general public. Now, on November 1 again, Nigerian President Tinubu on that Wednesday asked the Senate to approve another 8 billion in new debt as part of the 2022 to 2024 external borrowing plan to finance infrastructure, health, education, and security. But the truth is this: all this money they are borrowing, is it truly used for education, health, and security? If Nigeria is borrowing money and you could see like Office of the First Lady that is not in the Constitution is being bestowed billions of naira, what would you think? Everybody would think that yes, these monies are being borrowed for consumption, because you cannot be spending billions on the Office of the First Lady that is not in the Constitution, buying SUVs and luxurious cars for the office, and spending huge amount of money in so many other things that are not relevant. While you are borrowing from the international community, no one is going to respect you.
Many of us from the north are famed for cattle keeping. And when you are driving the cattle through different grazing grounds, the cattle believe that you love them so much because you protect them from the elements, because you protect them from other wild animals. But if the cattle were to know that you are the one who would end up eating them, they would treat you very differently. Invariably, they do not know. And therefore, you will continue controlling them the way you do, and you will continue eating them the way you do. But it's a totally different case when you are leading human beings. They are not like cattle. You may lead them in a particular direction. You may think that you have lulled them into a false sense of security. You may think that you have deadened their minds. But always remember that one day, if you don't do that which is good and right for your fellow men, there is a day of reckoning. There is a day of reckoning, and history has demonstrated that it can come in the twinkling of an eye. History has demonstrated that kings have been toppled. History has demonstrated that presidents have been removed. History has demonstrated that great men have been cut down. History has demonstrated that men can rise when they are misled. History has demonstrated that men are indeed capable of rising up. You know, I always read these words of the American Declaration of Independence because I love them. They apply to humanity. Before America became what it is, they had enlightened men. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are born equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And it is for this reason that governments are instituted amongst men. And that when those governments fail to perform, it is the duty of those people to rise up and to remove such governments.
Meanwhile, the controversial Arise News journalist Rufai Oseni reacted to the embarrassment of Saudi Arabia to Nigerians who arrived their country, cancelling their visa and refusing to allow them to come down off the plane. In case you missed the video, listen to what he said.
But also, what there's a need for is us as a people to grow internally. And I'll come back to the point Dr. Abati made about how the Saudi treated us. This was the same Saudi Arabia that in the 70s, their top royal family used to come here for healthcare and UCH in Ibadan. Why? Because we had the 5th best healthcare system in the Commonwealth. No, the number 5 best teaching hospital in the Commonwealth, according to some literature. This was the same Saudi Arabia that will not treat us like this in the 70s, in the heydays of Nigeria. The question is what changed? And that speaks to our leadership and our elections and everything we keep complaining about on this station. If we do things right internally, nations will not take us for granted. The reason why Africa as a whole is going cap in hand to have bilateral to get investments from countries that used to respect us before is because our nation, our leaders squandered our riches. I mean, we've been saying it on this show, but some surrogates or some party kept on abusing us. That President Buhari did a lot of damage to the economy. But I'm happy Nuhu Ribadu, the National Security Advisor, also came out to say it today. So we're correct. In fact, some 7 ministers in this administration, when they came on the show, when they were serving the Buhari administration, told us that we're lying. But now Nuhu Ribadu has said they bankrupted the country. So if President Buhari had not bankrupted the country like Nuhu Ribadu said, are we going to be going cap in hand to be begging and all of that with Saudi? Nigeria is a strong nation. And that's why we keep telling our leaders, do right. It's not about corruption. But we built a culture, and also the people to support them, because what is in it for me? Just like the people that were giving vote buying money, they keep saying, oh, let me collect this once and for all. But you are collecting your future. And that's why when you vote amiss, you have problems. So it goes back to leadership. So if we truly fix leadership and we do all the things right, and our economy starts to boom, they wouldn't treat us this way. I know you also make the argument with me that, oh, Saudi Arabia snubbed America. Saudi Arabia king at some point just gave Joe Biden a fist bump and reneged against Joe Biden and all of that. The question is, the reason why he can do that is because America too is going through its own challenges. But leadership reigns supreme. So we'd like a proper investigation into what happened. Dr. Abatia said, yeah, all the flights should be designated flag carriers. This was what we expected the government to do, but you know, when we ought to do things, we don't do them. Till today, Adi Sirika went away with what happened with Nigeria Air, that we've not had the end of it. So today we don't have a flag carrier. What I would have thought is government will have invested in airlines like Air Peace and some other airlines to have flag carrier, but today we are not going anywhere. Just like Saudi today, see how the Dubai authorities have also treated us over the years. When Nigeria still has that bite. Nigeria always has a bite too. But in the 80s, when things were still a whole lot better, when this happened, we know what the government of Muhammadu Buhari did as reciprocal action to Margaret Thatcher. Then they grounded the Nigerian airline. So let us introspect. And that's why we keep calling our leaders, do right. All of this is an indication that our nation is falling. The Yorubas have a saying that if you know think on labagbe ni shole nkan díẹ̀ díẹ̀ amagore